Go ahead and laugh.
Ha ha ha. Hey guys, welcome back to Gwen the Recovering Witch. I have the greatest honor today to introduce you guys to Halseer. I met Halseer through Miss Kelly Anne Maddox as a channel. I love Kelly Anne Maddox and I love Halseer. And we started doing comments back and forth. And he reached out to me because when I started doing my mindful recovery segments, he's very passionate about it, just as much as I am. And when we further started talking about it, he was sharing his experience with his deity or matron is hell. And I learned just a little bit, but I kind of feel like there's synchronicities of things lining up. And I kind of feel like hell's trying to get my attention as well. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to introduce you guys to Halseer. And Halseer, go ahead and tell us your story that you would like to talk about hell and the experience and all that jazz.
Alrighty, sounds good. So, I'm echoing. Ooh, no. So, I've actually celebrated my 4th year with working alongside Hell pretty much like last month on the 31st up until the 5th, because that's actually like the period of what I'm actually going to talk about. But because originally, before she even came in, I had no idea she existed. Completely just like out of nowhere, but I was already practicing the occult in the first place. So I kind of was already familiar with the whole path and discovering both the more left-handed and the right-handed, and then just being like, okay, I'm just going to do my thing and be right in the middle. Just, okay, my thing, that's it. But pretty much what I guess set the fuse off and made the bomb go was when I came home after working graveyard shift, exhausted, and just wanted to just be all, oh, I'm going to just lay down, rejuvenate. And before I even dozed off, my phone goes, okay. I get a text message from a random number. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who this is. Opens it up. And it comes to find out that my life partner and I'm still with, by the way, it turns out that somebody was telling me that he was found in an alleyway with mixed drugs, syringes, and was lifeless. And that he was sorry. From there, that's kind of like when my internal body just went, it just like shattered within, but I didn't even know how to react. But inward, it's just like crack and yeah, breaking to pieces. I called my mother and I called my grandmother. My grandmother came down, tried to, keep me from losing myself. Talked to my mother, but as soon as my grandmother left, that's when it kind of got a little bit dark. And this is a trigger warning in case if anybody has any kind of difficulties with PTSD, any kind of very, very strong imagery. Like if you're listening to someone talk, you can actually have the images play in your head. If you have that, if it might get too graphic, I'm just letting you know it might be, but it is what it is. So I ended up locking myself in my 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, blacked out the windows, locked all the doors, requested a week off of work because I had paid time off, and turned off my phone, cut off all contact with any connection to the outside world. And the last thing I did was actually lock the front door and the slider door. And then I turn, and then I'm just facing this complete void of blackness. I can't even see anything, not even the hand in front of my face. I just remember just looking there, and then that's when the voices in my head were starting to go up saying, "Well, you failed him. He's dead. You didn't make it. You didn't do what you said you were going to do. You failed. You didn't try hard enough." And all those thoughts kept getting louder, 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 that I just completely lost my grip on reality. And I just started throwing myself into this black abyss of God knows what. I couldn't even see where I was going, colliding with whatever got in the way, like a table, the countertop, the wall, and the walls in that apartment were made of brick. And just completely just was punishing myself to the up to the point where I literally like couldn't feel anymore and I collapsed. But when I awoke and was able to regain and feel the body again, it was hard to even be like, am I alive or am I dead? I can't tell, but I can kind of feel like I'm moving. So I'm just still just self-harming myself to the point where I just keep passing out over and over and over again, up until a point where it's like, I don't want to be alive anymore. And I haven't even eaten or drinking anything because I mean, it's just the thoughts just kept getting so much stronger that it just like completely possessed me to a point where I just kept going up until intuitively I just said, you know what, enough's enough. I can't live like this. So I just scavenged around my apartment to find a container of some kind and just started grabbing whatever I could. If it was a container, just try to find the lid, open it up, and just pour it into this bowl or whatever it was. And I just kept putting more and more stuff in, and God knows what it was. It could have been just like flu, like Windex. It could have been literally anything. Just kept putting it all in there, and then when I felt right, I just I had it like facing towards me, and I was holding it, and then I was deciding, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. As soon as I was about to like come to my mouth, I just faint, and my whole body stops. And as soon as I could feel my body again, I'm feeling around, and then I feel that the container's like in front of me. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it this time. But as soon as I try and reach and try and grab it to pull myself closer to it and then take it, as loud as a jet plane, and mind you, a jet plane, when they take off, your eardrums could pop. And it pretty much was like to the point next to my ears, loud, like, oh God, loud. That is when hell came in and screamed, get the up, or you really are going to die. I look up and clear, like crystal clear in the dark, I see a woman that's on one side blonde hair, wearing half a light blue crown with it was made of the crystals were light blue. It was a golden color, like the most aquamarine blue eyes, blonde hair, wearing a very excuse me. She was wearing a very elegant gown that was like how they wear in Norway. I mean, just very elegantly dressed on one side, while the other was her hair was black and there was like dried blood in it. It was knotted and there was like brain matter in it. And her eye was her eye wasn't there. And then there was like bone sticking out of her face around this area. Her jaw was kind of like unhinged slightly. And there was like a blood stream coming out of her eye, and her arm was completely in a way that's like really inhumane to even have it. And her dress was black and it was having rips and tears in it. And down to her leg, her knee was bent inward, but her foot was pretty much like going the opposing way that it was supposed to go. So pretty much her foot was on backwards and her knee was bent inward. And I'm looking up right at her and she's looking right back at me. And it probably felt like 3,000 years of just looking. And her hand was, this is the best I can do it because I don't know if I can really like actually show how it really was. But after a while, her hand just went, it was starting to move towards me and it was starting to go crack, 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 and just making all these shrieking noises like if somebody was in immense pain. It cracked and then just went like that. And without hesitation, I just grabbed it and I just was able to stand back up. And as soon as I stood up, that's when she just faded away. And I just took a big deep breath and I just accepted that, well, I did what I could, but I know he doesn't have to worry about ever being in a position where he's going to be suffering anymore. So I washed myself, and keep in mind I was covered in snot. Blood, not the most beautiful thing to see. So I washed myself up, made me not look like a, whoops. And I took a picture of myself afterwards after I was all washed up. But shortly after taking that picture, I get a Snapchat message by an account that has his name on it. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. No way. So I opened it up and here, let me pull that open real quick. Where's this bloody thing? There we go. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it, but I believe this is kind of like a good idea for like a kind of an effect. In a way, that was like the noise she was making, like gasping, like. But after recovering, this is what kind of like what the message said.
Let me know when you go. Thank you.
You got to keep in mind, I thought he was dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy. Because not only did hell stop me from ending my life prematurely, but she also prevented him from having to live with me being gone. And I didn't even know it. And then that's pretty much why I just fell to my knees and just said, whoever you are, I can't even say the right thank you. Did research and then found out it was help. And devoted to her ever since.
This is the second time I've heard this story. You did tell me a little bit like through like chat, like through Facebook and stuff when we connected, and like I get like goosebumps, but like the good ones, because that's like how like a higher force is always like stepping in, and some people don't have those moments when they're like on this journey where they're like a pagan, Wiccan, witch, where it almost feels like not to get biblical, but like a burning bush moment kind of thing. But everybody's experience is so different, and it made feel so much better to me personally, being in recovery and then going down this path as an eclectic pagan, and knowing that what I heard from a statue from the Morrigan, like the "do not walk away from me" in that kind of voice, I was just like, well, this is, that's different. And they reach out with not knowing anything about that specific deity, goddess, and you having that same experience. It really helped me. And I think like with stories like this, it helps with that closure. And what I loved when you and I last spoke and me researching Hell a little bit more is that she accepts the broken, like the good, bad, the all. And so I have gotten a lot, I've gotten a few questions about like if this is new for them. It's like, well, how do we know like if a goddess is reaching out to us, or how do we know who it is? And I think it just kind of happens over time if you just pay attention like to the signs. And then more so it becomes so prominent when later on, like through this whole journey, like they're there every step of the way. And yeah, and Hell's not very like not really touched on very much. Like as you can see, very in like in popularity, I guess, as far as like deities concerned in the community.
And it's kind of not really, it doesn't make much sense to me, because unlike some of the other divines, Hell is probably the most accepting out of all of them known to mankind, because she herself was outcasted and pushed away by the other ones in Asgard. And we're talking like not Odin though, but like Freya, Frigg, Uller, essentially Heimdall, any of them. They all pretty much looked at her like, oh, we don't want to go anywhere near her. And she just felt like, why am I here then if nobody's even going to come near me and just keeps judging me on something that I can't help? It is what it is, but it's because really, if one of the things that she actually teaches is that just because you think someone doesn't look pretty, and if you start calling them out on that, okay, well, later on down the line, someone's going to come to you and say, well, this part of you is ugly. Everybody has an ugly part, but everybody has a beautiful part. If you acknowledge the beautiful part, then you can actually start learning how to see the good in everybody. You keep acknowledging the bad, or the bad's going to keep popping up and pointing back at you.
No, I think that has that just kind of teaching as far as like how to like look at people and life of like, accept, kind of getting into that acceptance piece. It does have a lot to do with finding like the serenity, like I guess that would be in like a program kind of thing, and learning to be grateful, being humbled by things. Tell us like a little bit about for those that don't know, that are on this channel, and just a friendly reminder, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and please subscribe to Halseers if you haven't already. But for those who don't know, give a little bit about, I guess, about like story for Hell, for those who don't know.
Okay. I'm actually going to give like the very beginning, before even the Hell that I'm like closely associated with, because there was another Hell prior to her, and then you can kind of see the timeline, and that way it's more understood. So Hell, the first Hell was pretty much just like similar to Gaia in a way, not really primordial, but she pretty much was seen as like an earth deity, like the cycle of birth and death, and how it just kept staying in cycle. But as soon as it was time for her to be like released from her position, and she actually ended up passing, her consort Hyman, I can't remember his name, I believe it's Hymandar, But either way, as soon as she passed, all the dead were wandering aimlessly. And while she was ruling, not the hell that I'm with, the other one, she was not really as attentive. She pretty much was like, whatever, I can care less, really. And when she passed, all the dead just started wandering around, getting lost, going to other realms. And it got to a point where Odin's like, I can't have this. Heimdall, go down there. And I don't think it's Heimdall, though. I can't really remember his name, but the original Hell's consort actually took up the position while everybody in Asgard was trying to figure out who's going to take this spot now. So that's when Loki and Angerboda had the three children. Okay, we had Fenrir the wolf, and then we had Yogamonder the world serpent, and then we have Myhel. So as soon as they were born, there was a prophecy given to Odin that the children of Loki and Angerboda would cause Ragnarok. Catching wind of this, he demanded that the children be brought there. So the three were brought. Yogamonder was grabbed by the neck and he uses big serpent, grabbed and chucked down into the ocean. Fenrir was bound and chained. And this is where the story can take 1 to 2 splits. The one that I don't like, and I'm kind of a little about, Odin approaches Hel, grabs her by the throat, and slams her down into the underworld, and she just assumes the position. Or the other route, which he goes to her and tells her, "Look at me, child." She looks up, and all the other gods are mortified because one side of her is in the light, the other is in the shadow. Or if you want to go with the part that's living and dead, you can. It's just that originally it's the light and the shadow. But yeah, everybody was mortified, not even except Odin. He was like, she has to be in Asgard. And everybody was like, what are you talking about? She can't be in here. She has divine blood, just like you, Thor. So she had to be let in. Despite that, everybody just kept avoiding her, pushing her away, gave her looks like, you're a creep. And it got to the point where Hel was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Went up to Odin and said, hey, Odin, Allfather, yeah, what is it, Hel? I want out of this place. Why do you want to leave such a beautiful place? Nobody talks to me. Everybody judges me. I'd rather not be here. So he pondered, asked Hel, come back the next day. And then we'll come up with something that we can do. Next day comes, she goes to him and says, so now what? He gave her one of two choices. One, to stay in Asgard, or to go to Helheim, which was the underworld, and take up the position there. Those were her only two choices. And pretty much without any hesitation, she said, I'll take Helheim. So that's when Odin bestowed her the full authority over the dead. Full authority. Gotta keep that in mind. Full authority, which includes if someone dies on the battlefield in Norse mythology, a Valkyrie can come in and take them to Valhalla as an errand jar. If Hel wants to, but she doesn't because she actually isn't tyrannical, she can actually just tell it, hey, Valkyrie, drop it, please. Thank you. But she doesn't. So when she was given Helheim, she actually took it from a place where it was desolated, the dead just wandering aimlessly, not really being cared about. She made it like a big giant soup kitchen, planted an orchid, pretty much fixed up every place, and pretty much quarters people so that way the dead can actually have a home and not wander around and be like neglected. And ever since then, she's constantly moving. And when she moves, the one side moves perfectly fine while the other moves with like an intense lump. And it's just like dead weight. And she's always moving. She doesn't stop moving for that matter because she caretakes to everybody. And that's primarily like how she got it and how she got that position. But as for her involvement in Ragnarok, if she could have a choice, she would rather just not have anything to do with it. Because she's like, I have dead people to take care of. You think I have time to play good versus evil? I don't. And, if you've seen the Thor movie, please don't. Please no. She's not fond of that. She doesn't like having deer antlers on her head. And she doesn't understand, how's my dad my brother? But it's true because, Marvel, don't get me wrong, it was good to kind of like bring some more popularity to her, but the way she was depicted was like, no. She doesn't like looking like a Lady Gaga reject. I'm sorry. But it's true, because that's the first thing she said to me when I saw him, like, is that supposed to be you? Yeah, I look like a Gaga reject, don't I? Isn't it swell? But nonetheless, though, the only other myth that she's mentioned in is actually the myth of the beloved Balder getting killed by the actual arrow laced with holly, which was poisonous. And no, it was not holly, it was mistletoe. And mistletoe was the only plant that was too young to take a vow. And since mistletoe is poisonous, Loki played a trick on one of the divines that was actually playing, let's see who can try and hurt Balder by throwing whatever we can and, just beat him to death. And Balder was invisible. Like, you couldn't kill him or hurt him. So he was pretty much just a target and like, okay, swing with it whatever you got, nothing hurt him. So Loki, I can't remember this other divine's name. He was blind, so he couldn't technically play. So Loki goes to this divine and says, "Oh, why aren't you playing with everybody else? Why? You want to have some fun? I can't even see to shoot." "Oh, don't be like that. Here, I'll even guide your arrow. What do you say?" "Okay, I guess that's the spirit." "Okay, you ready?" "Yeah." "Wait, hold on." Coats it with mistletoe. "Let her rip." Hits Balder and is killed on the spot. And everybody's just like, "Oh, crap." And Loki's like, "That's what you get for not appreciating him." Oops. So then he has to go to the underworld. So I believe it's Frigg, as the mother, pretty much sends someone down to try and negotiate with Hel to have him be released. So I don't remember who she sends, but she sends him down there to negotiate with Hel. She is just sitting in her throne, just minding her business, and then Balder sitting like down below her. The person comes in and says, "So, Lady Hel, what do you want? Let me guess, you want this flamer, huh?" "Nope, we can't have him because, he's dead." And then there was like trying negotiations, and they were just trying to trying to come to an agreement to have him released. Then Hel said, "Fine, he can go, but only if everything that exists mourns of him." So took the message back to Frigg, where Frigg then pretty much begged everybody to weep for Balder. Everybody except one frost giant was all, "No, I'm not gonna cry for him. You guys didn't appreciate him." So because of that one frost giant, Elle said, "Looks like the flamer's staying flaming down here. Oh well. I don't want him either, but that's just how it is. Because it's too much flaming now in here. But oh well. Too bad." So then that's why Balder is stuck down there. And that's the only really other myth she's mentioned in. There are other instances where she's mentioned and described in like the Prose Edda, but issue with the Pros Edda and stuff like that, it's pretty much saying that Hel is an intentionally cruel and malefic type of a deity, which she is blunt, honest, but she's not intentionally malefic. Because if she was intentionally malefic, don't you think she would not be all like concerned about coming to anybody who calls her?
Mm-hmm.
But as well, there are other mentions in like some other writings throughout the world. And funny enough, there's actually an account of where she encounters the fallen angel Lucifer. Funny enough. This is where it gets kind of a little like, this is kind of odd.
Right.
So based on the myth of Lucifer's fall, but to me, the fallen Lucifer and the Lucifer that's in the Italian witchcraft, they're completely different. Completely different. The fallen Lucifer is malefic, while the other Lucifer is more of a more benefic and more uplifting kind. So that's kind of the different. But the way the tale is written, when the fallen Lucifer fell and went faceplant into her realm after being given the boot, he stands up and says, "I like this place. I'm going to make this place my kingdom." Out in the distance, another Paston overheard that, ran back to Hel's Manor and told her about him showing up, and she just looked at it and said, "Bring me this freaking fairy," because he was described as a fallen angel. So the dead go out, grab him, bring him back, and she looked down at him and said, "So, Twinkie Bell, what are you doing here?" "My, you're quite horrendous. And you're just as flaming as this Balder guy." "Wow, dang, bright. So you think you're going to take my place?" And then they just start flying at one another. And flighting is kind of like, let's just say, it's like the MTV TV show like Your Mama,
Yeah.
but it's insults. They're doing that repeatedly up until the point where Hel is just like, you know what? I'm sick of this freaking twat. Blinks to him, grabs him by the throat, throws him out the window, like a stained glass window, and he goes feet first right through Niflheim, and Niflheim's a frozen, goes feet first in and gets stuck at the waist, and the ice just grabs him by the waist like that. So he's stuck. And she just teleports right in front of him, looks down at him and says, "Wow, I guess you're not hot enough to melt that ice now, are you?" Then just like brings her dead foot back and then just kicks him square in the face and just fades away. Then that's when that Lucifer proceeds to say, "Damn Hel for being how she is," and screams at the top of his lungs, to the point where it gets so loud that the human beings that walk the earth, they actually start hearing it and they become scared of Hel because of that. And if you've ever read the Divine Comedy by Dante, like Dante's The Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradiso, if you take a look at how Lucifer is in there, he's stuck in the frozen lake at the waist, just like how Hel just went exactly the same thing, except he doesn't have hanky panky and spanky in his mouth. So it's like, is that a coincidence? I don't think really it is a coincidence. But again, this Lucifer is not the same as the one that comes towards you and kind of helps bring the light of awareness and uplift you, because they're two completely different entities. Just because the name's the same, energy is completely different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really does. I kind of feel like at times, even when I'm dealing, like, I call them sky people, because their titles are different depending on who they are, but like the angels can have or spirit guides or whoever you wanted to call, they can all, it's just like us when we're born, we might have the same name, and yeah, they all run a little bit different, but yeah, no, I really appreciate how you've talked about Hell. And again, I love Halseer and his channel because he's so animated in telling his stories. And
Mhm.
and again, if you haven't checked him out, because I am a big tarot card lover, I am gushing about you because the way you have described your major
You
arcana
font.
cards.
Literally. Oh, it's the he who font. Don't listen to him, because he's going to teach you by intimidating you. Because if you don't believe what he does, he'll send you to hell. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Do you know any hierophants in your life?
Yeah, the he who font, I know the most. Well, oh man, that's a lot of them. You're going to hell. No, really? Are you new here? Yeah, that's her name. Oh, you don't know her. I'm sorry.
But definitely Hell's presence from the last time we talked. We need to get in the synchronicities in just a minute, but yeah, Hell's presence with you, like I could really feel it through the screen. Like the last time we've talked, she's very kind of quiet today. Like I know she's there, but she's just kind of like on the sideline today. But like, but it was very prominent to know she seems very much like the protector. And I feel like, again, for those, if they are in recovery, working with some sort of entity, higher power, divine, whoever you want to call it, goddess, matron or patron, like, you know, it's something worth researching and seeing who you can work with on helping you down like that path. And just knowing that like every life is so important, and like, you know, if anybody's struggling, you should be here. And and they'll reach out, and you sometimes you just don't understand why or how it happened.
Most of the time.
Can you hear me?
Part of the thing too that, you know, really, oh yeah, I can hear you just fine. It's just
Okay.
that I think, you know, I think she's wanting me to say something, and yeah, she's messing with the audio saying, say it, kid.
Yeah, as soon as I said she's she's kind of like in the background, that's when your audio, your screen started to freeze up and everything. And this is what I want people to understand. Like yes, they are around, and they will make themselves known, just like this in technology.
Hell only sees a human being. That's it. Not like, oh, you're an addict, you're a murderer, you're a hooch, you're a thief, you're an abuser. It is what it is. You're stupid though. But still, you are a human being and you deserve to be treated as one, not an animal, and not to be casted out. Because the advantage of hell being a death deity, death doesn't discriminate. And then, you know, the ones that come and say, well, what about the ones that come back to life? Well, you know, when they say, oh, nope, you're too early, go back to living. Because that usually when that happens, they still have stuff they have to do. Like near-death experiences, and they get told, nope, turn around, go back. And there's really no such thing as hell, like death saying like, oh, I cheated death. Nope, you were told to turn around and go back to living.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of work that still has to be done.
Yeah. No, I have had several people that I know that are in this community, and they've said that, yeah, they've had like the near-death experiences. And I've always found it kind of interesting how at times where it seems like there's multiple that shows up, but there is a predominant presence of one particular deity that shows up and says, no, you need to go back. Your work's not done. I believe Hell is one of them. The Morrigan is one of them. I even have heard like the Virgin Mary being one of them. Santa Muerte is another one too. I do also think she says your work here is not done either and can send you back.
And the thing with other, like just for clarifications with death deities, there are different kinds of like death deities. There's the ones that have like the dominion rulership. There's the ones that actually go out and actually say, okay, you're going to get a whack one and I'm going to drag you. And then there's the ones that pretty much guide, kind of like how Hecate does. And there's the kind that kind of say, better look out on this date, it's going to happen, kind of like foreshadowing. But like there's different kinds of death deities. Not all death deities get on their steed with a scythe and say, okay, I'm going to go human head whacking. No, they don't do that. Not all of them do that. There's some that have like, okay, I have people and I got to take care of them. Okay, I got to guide them there. Perfect. I got to have this guy kick a bucket. Okay, kick.
Yeah.
There's different types.
There are, and it's why it's so important, like for you being so well versed in the literature stories about hell, and even with what is available for deities, because sometimes I kind of feel like when people start getting like on the research of what was available, how they look at dark goddesses or something like that. Like, I don't really believe like, or even like a war goddess. Like, I don't believe like dark goddesses are just like all doom and gloom and here to like, you know, snatch your soul or something. There's so many facets to them, and there's so many things to learn out of their stories. That it's more to it than that, and then it just being so cut and dry. Yeah. But I don't know if you want to get onto the synchronicities of hell.
I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of them.
So again, this is kind of like the things where you experience and pay attention to the signs, because your goddesses are always speaking to you and when things are meant to be. So just look for them. So I don't know if you want to start.
Whenever hell speaks, you hear her.
Yeah.
Like you will know, like, oh, I hear her talking. But usually most of the time, if you're going towards her for something, like to have counsel and talk to her, she talks like this. So you really have to listen. Kind of has like a smoky, raspy voice. But when you do something wrong, she will come out of nowhere, insult you and tell you how stupid you are and say, why are you being stupid again? Still?
But it's out of love.
Yeah, but it's out of, definitely, because she's a Saturnian type of a divine, and a Saturnian divine is a perfectionist. Not to be like a nitpick, but to always ensure you're being your best all the time. It takes a special kind of love to be able to do that and say like, well, you're stupid, but I have to put up with you. Oh well. And going like the idea of like the dark goddess energy and the type of entity, it is true, because like in like this dark goddess oracle book that has this deck that I have, that she's in it, there's some like the passage they have written in here is saying hell revealed, the archetype of the hoarder of the Norse origin. Hoarder. Hell has authority over 9 worlds, administering board and lodging to those sent to her, just like what I said, including those who died of sickness and old age, not like being slain in battle. This black and white mistress of the underworld likes to accumulate the chattels of those who were sent to her, hoarding this wealth and telling none, should anyone wish to steal from her. But here's the problem. With her, she's like, I don't want blame. Stupid. I have people to take care of. If they have gems, woo, sparkly. I need to feed them. That she prioritizes her passed on first above everything else. She doesn't care about how much you're throwing all over the place.
Mhm.
She's rather caretaking to those that need to be caretaken to. And in fact, depending, like if you have a belief system, like atheist or anything along those lines, or no
Mhm.
belief practice, hell is actually the only known being to actually, when somebody passes away and their spirit's like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea where I'm supposed to be going. I'm lost. I'm scared to death. Hell's the only one that actually stick by that spirit and just sit there with them until whoever is supposed to come get them, if there's one, comes in, takes them to where they need to go.
Mhm.
If nobody comes, by default, technically she gets them because nobody claims them, so they're outcasted. So she gets them. That's why she's just like, okay, nobody's gonna claim it. Fine, I'll take them. Because there are such thing as earthbound spirits, such as like a in tranquil soul, which is a very terrifying thing to experience, and like a anima sola, which is kind of the same thing. But when you have it passed on, wandering around like that,
Mhm.
lost and scared, yeah, she's the one that actually can go to it and say, "Come on, we need to have you go get taken care of."
Mhm.
And if you work with hell, the really good thing having her, and if you're really close with her, is that if anybody has the dead come at you, she just simply tells them, no, go away, go back down. And they have to abide by that. They can't defy her. She has the final say given by Odin. So she can just tell, no, go back, lay down, which is a huge, huge advantage because if anybody works with their ancestors or does any kind of necromancy work, she just completely mitigates it, which is a good thing because there's
It
a
is
lot of
good.
people.
Yeah.
There's a lot that even grab like cemetery dirt from a serial killer and have them come at you. She just says, nope, nope, put the knife down, go back, lay down.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
You know, what's funny is you were explaining that piece and I just caught the end of it. She did make it pause, just being like, we're not putting this in here.
Yeah. Yeah, because funny enough, hell doesn't like necromancy.
Yeah.
She despises it a lot. However, if you gain her respect and trust, she may make an exception. May. But how I got that, if I want to go towards the cemetery or even talk about the passed on, even before I even started this session, I had to ask her, could I talk about this? She said yes. Okay, I can. If she said no, I can't get into that part.
Mhm.
But if she was to have me go all the way to the cemetery, have me stand at the gate and say, you know what, change my mind, go back home. Okay. If she
Mhm.
says nope, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And it's so tempting and so simple just to be like, maybe she's not paying attention. I can sneak past. Nope.
Always paying attention. Always.
Yeah. Yep.
Always.
She's like, oh, you think you're slick, kid? Guess what? You're going to be not sleeping tonight. You're going to be deaf a little bit.
To talk about your, I would call it like statue or doll. I mean, it is hell. So I thought this was very interesting when you reached out and we're talking about this is what we need to talk about. And there's going to be several segments about this, about us looking at recovery, 12-step programs, and all the other good stuff. But
Want me to grab the doll?
yes, show them the doll. But yeah, the doll is made by a friend from Brazil. And he's showing me the doll and I'm like, Halseer, you know, I'm like, my mother is Brazilian, right? Like I'm half Brazilian. And this is just how deities work with synchronicities like this. Like you'll see kind of like the alignments show up. Halseer, there was something else too, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, the arm. The arm was the other one. And he was explaining, and I pointed out to him, I was like, wasn't it like the same arm that when she lifted you up? But yeah, you can tell them the story with the
Yeah, it was the dead side. That was the one I grabbed, because if she gives you the hand that's like in the light or human and not dead, that's the hand she gives to someone when they die. She gives you the one that's dead as a test to see, are you going to take it? Are you going to trust something as this and not, be all like, oh, it's just bone and creepy and it freaks me out. Well, I mean, I just was like, right at the moment. But yeah, this was made by a friend of mine in Brazil, hand painted, hand sculpted, all of it. I'll see if I can gingerly lift her up.
Oh, wow.
And there's the, let's see if I can get this thing to focus. That's his company, Apollo, I believe, something. But yeah,
Does
I mean, he
have a website just in case if we need to put it in there or something?
He has a Facebook page.
Okay.
He has a Facebook page.
So
and it was funny when he sent me the doll, because when I received it, before he sent it, I saw that it had the hand attached to it. And when I received it, it's like, actually, I didn't tell him that the hand was missing. I just put it on my Facebook like, oh my gosh, it's finally here. And then he messages me instantly saying, oh my God, the hand's gone. I'm so sorry that it got broken. I'll make a new one for you. And I just responded back saying, I like it like this, because that was a test. Are you going to accept it for how it is? Are you still going to love it? What are you going to do, kid? Don't mess up. Perfect. Good. It's just amazing, just like how things just coincidentally happen like that. Like another just so happens synchro moment, because why the heck not? Just why the heck not? Let's just say, as soon as you're about to get ready to actually start this, you kind of take a look at yourself in the mirror, and then you just notice how like the lighting in the room, like how a cloud goes overhead and how it gets like dark for a little bit. Well, you're looking at the mirror and all of a sudden the dark just stops right on halfway of your face. Just like that. Exact. Like, stop it. That's what you have to be prepared to run into when you work with this. It just is like, guess what? I'm here. Yep, I know.
Yeah. And they're not scary. I think like kind of like with this, it's at some point, like I know I felt like it maybe like I belonged in like in a band of misfits, I guess. And it's just like, here's the goddess coming and being like, which has kind of been like the theme. It's kind of like, along with the other children of the Morrigan or sisters that I found along the way, we're all like, I just really didn't feel like I fit in, and here we are. And then it's like, and then some of them are high priestesses, and they're like, that's the thing, we're supposed to be together and we're supposed to be finding the lost children. And I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense. So
Paul doesn't really have people be like high priests or like administrators, because she's like, I don't give a crap if you want to be high about me. Just freaking be your best, damn it. God. Don't be stupid. Don't be grabbing oleander with your bare hands, because I'll, tell you how dumb you are. Yeah, but I mean, hell is one of those entities that anybody can work with her. Anybody, literally.
Yeah.
But the thing is, not everybody can work with her because she's just like blunt.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
if you
that
don't like bluntness, that might not be for you.
Yep, but at least the good thing is though is that she is reliable. And it's better, for my opinion, to have someone reliable and tell you how it is. Because if you have a divine that's telling you like, no, it's a wonderful idea. No, you're doing great. Just keep it up. I'm kind of worried about him. Meanwhile, hell, oh God, Jack. Oh God. Oh man, oh man, oh man. I can't believe this kid. I thought he would learn the first few times, he fell on his face.
Okay. No, but it's funny.
Yeah, but she does it in a way that it's kind of, it hits you, but in a way that kind of snaps you into shape, but it kind of makes you be like, yeah, you know what? I was stupid that moment. So
Mhm.
stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and the thing for me is too, like with the bluntness, like it kind of like pushes people away. Like it's like, I don't want anybody this blunt. And it's like, well, would you rather it be like something that's like more divine from your understanding versus just like a person that's just like you, And because again, we all have self-will, we have ego, there's fear-driven based things, and like, of course, what you hear is always going to be for your betterment. And you will know it's not you doing something crazy. Again, like, hey, you're going to the cemetery, you're doing something. And she's like, I've changed my mind. You should not be going.
Mhm.
I've talked about what you could give as like an offering for your deities. And so like, if you are in recovery, you don't feel comfortable with that, they're not going to put you in a position to where they're like, this is going to get them to be a slip or something. And I've had the Morgan tell me like, it's not for you, it's for me. Like, that's mine.
And as really for hell though, she's very simple. Like if you're gonna offer her stuff or do anything to give towards her, she's so simple. As long as you're doing what you need to be doing, really that's good enough, and not doing anything that's harming you to make her happy. Because if you think it's a good idea to be like, you know what, I'm gonna give a blood offering, prick finger and then put it on a paper towel like I did. Put it next to her, get this away from me. But I thought you would like that. Why am I gonna like something that you hurt yourself for? I don't want that. Yuck. Get it away now. But it comes to find out, like if you nick yourself self-shaving and it is what it is, it wasn't intentional, then that's different, because it's like, oh, accident, it is what it is, and it wasn't like oh, look at that bloody nose. Yeah, that no.
Yeah.
And same with like what I was talking about, the oleander, like grabbing oleander with my bare hands. Yep, as soon as I got the flowers, like, oh, I think she'll like these. Get these pieces of away from me. But they're flowers, aren't they pretty? You stupid kid. Do you know what you just grabbed? It wasn't a sausage link. You grabbed oleander, which is poisonous. And you can get rashes on your skin. Get these away from me. Use gloves next time.
Yeah.
She wants offerings that are given that are not in any way detrimental to the person giving them. So if somebody's not comfortable doing blood offerings and they try and push themselves to do it, she's going to say, I don't want fakeness.
Yeah. No, I believe that too, in a sense, or I guess like in my relationship with my goddess, it's like with the stories of with her being the washer at the ford, and it's really more so she is wanting you to look at the darker aspects of yourself and to release, it's very painful. And so she is wanting her pound of flesh. And so it's like, not literal pound of flesh, but like this has been, it's like the 1,000-pound weight that you've been carrying with you, like for however many years or so long. And she's like, I'm going to take that from you, like in a good way, but it's like, this no longer serves you anymore. So yeah.
Okay, Band-Aid. We're just gonna go 1, 2.
Sure.
No, thank you. Well, we got a wax job at least. You want to keep going?
Brazilian? No, I'm kidding. Well, guys, thanks for watching. And please, again, visit Halseer's channel. Great content. And there will be more to come like this on what we're going to do. And so we'll see you next time, guys.